Seahawks Today rolls on as we are talking surprise cut candidates today. This week, ESPN released their 53-man roster projections for all 32 teams across the NFL, including the Seattle Seahawks. On today's show, I got 5 players that ESPN predicted would not make the 53-man roster for the Seahawks. We'll tell you who those are, react to it, show you their analysis coming up in just a bit. Before we do, all month long, we are battling here at Chat Sports to see who can make the top 10 of new subscribers on our NFL channels. And folks, I got bad news. In the month of June, we didn't do so hot. We did not finish in the top 10 of new subscribers here at Chat Sports. I want to crack the top 10 this month, but we need your help to make it happen. Subscribe now for daily Seahawks coverage, live shows twice a week, watch parties throughout the season. This is your daily Seattle Seahawks headquarters. Subscribe now for free, youtube.com/SeahawksTV. Let's win the sub battle this month. We begin with the analysis, the overview, if you will, on the Seattle Seahawks from ESPN's Brady Henderson, who writes the following. The Seattle Seahawks opened the 2024 NFL regular season against the Denver Broncos on September 8th at Lumen Field. They'll do so with a new head coach in Mike McDonald, the youngest in the NFL at 37 years old, but not an entirely new roster. To be sure, General Manager John Schneider armed Pete Carroll's replacement with several notable additions this offseason, including a trade for backup quarterback Sam Howell and the selection of defensive tackle Byron Murphy II at number 16 overall. They also replaced both starting inside linebackers, moved on from 2 of their top 3 safeties, and remade the interior of the offensive line, among other changes. Add it all up, and the turnover was somewhere between the usual roster churn in any given year and the rebuilds that often come with coaching changes. Look, I've always been of the belief, faces change, but expectations don't. And the reason why Pete Carroll is not the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks anymore is because this team underachieved last year. And you have a roster that is similar to what it was last year. I think it's a little bit better than what it was in 2023. The assignment for Mike McDonald is going to be to get the most out of this team and take this team to the next level in 2024. And I think they have the right man for the job to do that. Let's start with the cut candidates here. We begin with Jack Westover, who ESPN is projecting will not make the 53-man roster. It's been a very good offseason for Jack Westover, who played under Ryan Grubb and Scott Huff there with the University of Washington. And the idea has been that he's got a good chance to make the roster because outside of Noah Fant, he's the only receiving tight end the Seahawks have, as the Seahawks have been lacking those receiving tight ends. I think Westover is going to make the 53-man roster. I disagree with ESPN because of the need that is there. And you look at Jack Westover. Think about this. He was in a loaded receiver room there with the Washington Huskies with Rome Odunze, Jalen Polk, among others, and all that went to the college football playoff, had one of the best offenses in the country, and yet he was still the Huskies' 3rd leading receiver last year. Pac-12 honorable mention and all. I think he was better than what the numbers actually showed, and that kind of hurt his draft stock because of all the talent that was around him there in Washington. You look at the numbers, and his yards per catch, 9.4, 4 touchdowns with 433 yards, 46 catches. That's more than good enough to be my number 3 or number 4 tight end. And if something happens, God forbid to Noah Fant, you're going to need somebody else to be a receiving tight end. I think keeping Jack Westover around makes a ton of sense. Should the Seahawks cut Jack Westover? What do you guys think? Type K for keep, C for cut. Way in the comments section, let us know what you think. All right, next up, ESPN projecting that Stone Forsythe will get the axe, that he will be cut in addition to Jack Westover. Now, I got to say, credit where credit's due. Stone came through big at times for the Seattle Seahawks last year. This team was desperate, right? Week 1 when Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas go down, and they turned to Stone Forsythe, and for the most part, Stone held his own and was brilliant in that Detroit Lions game, particularly speaking. But now, with the changes the Seahawks have made, they have better options than Stone Forsythe at this point. It's one of those things where, Stone, we appreciate what you did, but time to move on now as far as that goes. I could see Stone potentially still hanging around the practice squad, potentially, and his name getting called upon later on, but with the addition of George Fant and hopefully Abe Lucas gets healthy and all that, I happen to agree with this one, that Stone, his days are probably numbered in Seattle at this point in time. Although, I will say, we mentioned how much he stepped up when he was asked upon. His run block grade was very good, 71.4 last year. Overall grade of 58.2. Pass block grade, not so hot, of 40.9. If he ends up on the practice squad, this is not a bad player to keep around your practice squad if you're the Seattle Seahawks, if that's the case. When it comes to Stone Forsythe, we shall see. Byron Murphy jersey's on sale now. Get yours today. He'll wear the number 91. Add a 9 to that one. Got the home jersey, the road jersey, the throwback alternate option for you as well. Go see for yourself. Chatsports.com/Murphy. Got free shipping available as well. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Chatsports.com/Murphy. Next up, we find offensive tackle / offensive guard. We'll see what position he ultimately plays. Sataoa Laumea, the 6th-round pick out of the University of Utah, is the player here. And we'll show you what Lance Zierlein had to say in just a moment about him with his pre-draft analysis. But I got to say this. Personally, I'm not ready to give up on Laumea just yet. All right? 6th-round pick, a guy that was projected by some as a 3rd or 4th-round grade. To me, that's a little early to be thrown in the towel. And if he doesn't make the team, you better believe somebody else is going to pick him up. He's not going to be a guy that just hangs around the practice squad. And this Seahawks team needs all the offensive line help they can get. I'm not ready. I think we kind of got to hold the phone, if you will, on the idea of just cutting ties with Sataoa Laumea just yet. 6th-round pick out of Utah, first-team All-Pac-12 in 2022, two-time second-team All-Pac-12 selection in 2020 and in 2023. And this was a guy that really held his own. A lot of starting experience there with the Utah Utes. Very physical on that offensive line. I like him. I thought he was a good find there in the 6th round. I would be disappointed if he got cut this early. Lance Zierlein had this to say about him leading up to the draft. 4-year starter with extensive experience at both right guard and right tackle. Laumea is very competent drive blocker and possesses adequate agility and athleticism to get to lateral landmarks on the move. He can get from the block to block as a serious climber and is generally contentious on his footwork to bolster his success on positional blocks. His habit of oversetting and opening inside tracks to the pocket is a concern, whether he's at tackle or guard. So let's ask you, do you agree with ESPN that he's not going to make the roster, or do you agree with me that he will? Type Y for yes, in for no. Let us know what you think. Up next, we find Mike Morris at the defensive end position, was picked a couple years ago out of the University of Michigan. And look, the Seahawks are loaded on the defensive line. What was once a position group that was a weakness turned into a strength this offseason. And somebody's going to be the odd man out. It very well could be Mike Morris. I know that he missed most of last year with a shoulder injury, but I like the raw talent that he has here, folks. And we'll explain why here in just a moment, what we're talking about here. Remember, he played under Mike McDonald at the University of Michigan. And the very first person that Mike McDonald saw when he walked into the building and took the job was Mike Morris. He was thrilled about the idea of getting to play under Mike McDonald. And this guy just got after the quarterback. He was very physical, did a good job at Michigan, second-team All-American, first-team All-Big Ten selection, Big Ten Defensive Lineman of the Year in 2022. He had this to say about Mike McDonald coming in as the new Seahawks head coach. I was so happy. I know the guy we're going to get, and I know everything that he put into Michigan and everything he put into the defense at Michigan and everything that he's going to put in now. So how about that from Mike Morris there? Last on the list, another rookie that ESPN is projecting will get cut. That is D.J. James at the cornerback position. The Seahawks selected him out of Auburn. And similar to what we talked about with Laumea, I'm not quite ready to give up on the 6th-round pick. I think that's a little early. I know that he's already on the non-football injury list and all that. That's a bit concerning. But for a guy that you used a sixth-round pick on that was not expected to be available in the sixth round, I think that's a little bit too early to say, yeah, we're just done with him already. Previously with the Auburn Tigers, also played at the University of Oregon, and he stepped up when he made the transition from Oregon to Auburn, playing tougher competition in the SEC. He was the second-team All-SEC selection. And the scouting report on him is pretty impressive as well, as Lance Zierlein had the following to say about him before the draft. James plays with excellent body control and disciplined footwork and is rarely out of position in coverage. He's instinctive with short area twitch and has generated a little less ball production than expected for his traits. Both zone and man coverage comes naturally, but bigger bodies can give him trouble. Below average run support will be targeted by play callers, so that could come into consideration for some teams. James has the athleticism and coverage skills to become a starting nickel within a couple of years. So we're just going to walk away from a potential starting nickel just like that, and we're keeping a guy like D. Eskridge around, according to ESPN? Got me a little skeptical, to say the least. Who is a player the Seahawks should cut? We've gone over 5 names that ESPN says are going to be done. What do you guys think? Weigh in the comment section. Let us know. Subscribe now to Seahawks Today for continuing Seahawks coverage that we're bringing you each and every day throughout the offseason. We're going to cover training camp and more. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV. Subscribe now for free, and we'll see you next time.